Hello, my name is Greg McKay. I'm the chair of the Australian SRV Association. This recording is of a presentation at the Australian SRV gathering held online 22nd of July 2022. The event was hosted by ASRVA, which is the SRV safeguarding group in Australia. We held the gathering for several reasons: to help strengthen the Australian SRV community, to further foster a community of practice identity, to strengthen collegial relationships among and between members of the community, and to focus on SRV in action, its everyday use. We hope you find these presentations helpful, and we again thank presenters.
I'm here to introduce Jack and Fiona, and on their presentation that they've titled, "If This Then That, a way to weigh up the tensions on the path to valued roles and the good life." Now, firstly, I want to introduce Jack and tell you some of Jack's roles. Jack is a 30-something-year-old gentleman who is a homeowner. He's also a business owner and lapidrist. And he is also here with with Fiona, who is an advocate, a manager, a poet, and my favourite role that she's mentioned, a wise woman. So let's hear from these two individuals. And the SRV concepts that I'm hoping everyone can listen out for is that if this, then that, and that heightened vulnerabilities. Thank you very much, Jack and Fiona.
All right, should we take it away?
Yeah.
All right, hello everyone. I hope that you can hear us and that you can see Jack's presentation.
Hi everyone.
So Jack's going to be just giving you a bit of a journey through his life. And so he went through and chose quite a...
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, some photos that he would like to share.
That's me when I was little, but my family too.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this photo on this side, Jack?
That's when I was at my friend's house.
Yeah, that's right. That's his snake, isn't
and
it?
That's his snake, and that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
My best friend for a couple of years, and I haven't seen her for years.
You haven't seen her for a long time, and her name's
Astrid.
And who's this bunch of really good-looking fellas on the left-hand side?
My brothers.
Your brothers, yeah. And you're an oldest brother.
I'm the oldest brother now.
Yeah. Everybody's a bit
younger, I guess.
They are, for sure.
My family again.
And so these are your brothers?
My brothers.
And mum and dad?
And mum and dad.
We're all looking a bit young there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's this other person here on this?
My friend, my cousin Bonnie and me.
Yeah. And Bonnie are pretty good mates.
Yeah. My family again.
So this is one of family get-togethers.
Yes, that's right.
Jack hosts those, and this one on the other side.
It's my that's me and my little cousin when she was that.
That's Layla.
And she's so cute. She was adorable.
Yeah.
That's me and my uncle and my big family.
And where's this photo taken of the big family?
RSL. Allgate RSL.
At the Allgate RSL, yeah. Are you a member up there?
Yes. That's me and my brothers and me and mum.
Yeah. This is a night out in the town, wasn't it?
Yeah, a night in the town.
And where were we when that photo was taken of you and your brothers together?
Up Queensland, I think.
Yeah.
At a house.
It was nice.
It had like a pool. It had like whatever you need, really.
You tell these people what.
Mates.
These are mates, are they?
Yeah.
And who have we got on this side over here?
Uncle, me, and a couple of mates.
Yeah. And this is at RSL, yeah?
Yep, RSL.
Tell us about this fella on the other side here.
Marty.
That's Marty, is that?
Yep.
What can you tell people about Marty?
He was a famous drag racer.
Drag racer, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that car go really fast?
Oh, it was so fast. I wouldn't let you go on that. It'd be too fast. No way.
Maybe I should drive it.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. There we go. What can you tell us about this?
That's my friend and mate.
Okay, and so over here where you're standing with that lady, where do you know her from?
From Gem Club.
Oh yeah, from Gem Club.
Yeah.
And these two lightly looking fellas over here.
My two mates
And so where is this photo taken?
at my house.
Cool.
Yeah. My house again.
This is your house?
My house.
Yeah. And so this building here, that's your whole house, yeah?
That's my whole house, yes.
And where are you sitting on
The balcony on the bloody chair.
Oh, okay, on the chair, on the balcony, on a bloody chair,
Yeah.
in shoes that you don't have anymore.
No.
Okay, cool.
Family, I guess.
Is this still at your place?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this on your deck?
Yeah.
Loving all that food.
Yeah.
So you're hosting people.
Yep. That's me working.
That's you working. Can you tell us a little bit about these, what you're doing in these photos?
Cutting my stone and making a silver ring.
Beautiful.
That was hard.
Yeah, that looks like really, really
You have to
hard
concentrate.
work.
You have to concentrate. If you don't, you're going to burn your damn fingers. And
Yeah.
it's so hot.
Oh, okay then. Well,
It's
that's
about over 1,000 degrees, and that's deadly hot.
That's deadly hot. Well, you look like you're doing a very good job of that.
Not really, because I'd stand there and bloody hold the damn thing. So the end was really, really hot.
Yeah. Did
So,
you end up making a ring?
Yeah, and it was hot.
Yeah.
That thing I was holding, it was so hot. I had to let it go because it was like nearly hurt my hand.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's me in my own house and sapphire place.
Okay. So this one over here, where
Yeah.
you're in your house, what are all these things on top
Just
of the
my jewelry
cupboard?
stuff.
Is this jewelry that you
Yeah,
make?
yes.
Fantastic. And this photo on the right-hand side?
The sapphire place or whatever it is.
That's the Sapphire Gemfields.
Yes,
And you've been up there
just once.
just once? Okay. Would you like to go?
For sure.
For sure. Okay.
That's up Queensland.
Yeah. And just hanging out here?
Yep. And just family stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And so there's a couple of photos coming up now. You ready for these ones?
Yep. It's just me.
That's you.
Yep.
And so these things really special
Yes.
around cars.
Very special, and that truck was special to me too.
Yeah.
Because that the guy who brought that truck was from the army, so the army gave it to him from the army, so he so it was just old and he rebuilt it and put new stuff on it, so it looks nice.
And I guess what people won't know about you, but this photo might give a bit of an idea, is that you're from a really big army family.
I'm an army family, and most of these army trucks are so hard to get, and they're probably worth $500,000 each. And that'd be so rare to get that truck.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
If people had questions, would you be happy to answer a question
Yeah,
or two? Do you
whatever.
think?
Yeah.
So there's a few questions, Jack. Hi, Jack, it's Jane. So one person said, how did you start your business?
Well, I started my business from work
Yeah.
at the Bluff base,
That's where it started.
and then that's when it first started.
So was that because they were doing gem work down
Yes.
there and you saw it?
Yep, and just give it a go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then did you have some people help you to
Yeah,
start?
yeah, to start, because I've never done it before. So
And who is it that you learned that stuff from?
from I don't remember her name.
You don't remember her name,
No.
but did she come from
Gem
your gem club?
Yeah.
The Gem Club.
Yeah. Do you go to just one gem club?
I'll just go to 2 gem clubs
Two gem
once a
clubs.
fortnight, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Jack, there's a few people wanting to know, do you sell your jewelry and do you have a website?
Yes, I do.
Do you want to tell them what the name of your business is?
Jack's Gems or something like that.
Yeah. So
That's a
Jack's
great
Gems.
name, Jack. That's
And
a
you
great
can
name.
find that on
And my website
Facebook.
on Facebook,
And how do you spell Jack?
JAK,
Ah,
No C, people.
with no C.
no C. And how long, someone says, how long have you been a business owner?
Oh, shit. 5 years.
Yeah.
Be a bit longer than that.
A
I
bit
reckon.
longer, maybe
Mhm.
9 months, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay, some
maybe
time to-
maybe a year or so.
Or a year
before.
or so, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your favourite sort of jewellery to make, Jack?
My favourite is some dawn opal.
Oh, you like working with opals.
Yes, I do.
And are they mainly women's jewellery or jewellery for
It's
men?
men's jewelry and ladies' jewelry. So I made like this piece.
Oh, wow. 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 How long would it take you to make that, Jack?
About 2 weeks.
Wow. Now, someone's noticed that you love cars as well.
I love my cars. This depends what kind of car, whatever.
So this person
brand,
says,
whatever.
what's your favourite sort of car?
That's going to be a hard one. Maybe a Toronto, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So like old school.
I like old cars. I like new cars, and it doesn't matter what kind of model. It's got to look nice and whatever. I'm just interested in how people, do them up and whatever.
Yeah. And then this might be the last question, or see how you're feeling about it. So you've got your own business.
Yeah.
And you're a jewelry maker.
Yes.
With and a lapidariist.
Yes, I am.
Lapidrist.
Lapidrist. Okay. So what's happened? Like, you've got these two lovely roles in your life. What's happened because of those?
This gets me interested, I guess. It keeps, keeps me busy.
Can you say what happens at your place now that you've got your home with your deck?
I've got my home with my own deck. I've got
And what happens on that deck?
I just have like once a fortnight, have drinks on the deck and whatever. Who can bring their own food and whatever else, doesn't bother me what they bring.
So long as it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Jack, thank you.
You're welcome,
Thanks
mate.
so much for your time. I know, well, I've heard that you really enjoy your work, so we appreciate you taking time out for spending time with us and telling some of your story. Thank you.
All right, you heading off now?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right then.
Thank you, mate.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. So you've had the opportunity to see Jack and to get an idea of some of what his life looks like. And I now want to talk to you a little bit about what's been tricky about that for Jack. So Jack showed you some photos about growing up, and Jack was an older brother before he was other. And when I say other, that's because his experience has been very many times being rejected and isolated and segregated and treated as if he's something other. And at a very early age, professionals assessed Jack's disability, and they said that he belonged in a special school, that he'd live in a group home, that he'd work in a sheltered workshop, or with other people with disability. Fortunately for me, I had a sniff of SRV, and through that, I assessed Jack's humanity. And with that knowledge, I knew that if he was congregated and segregated in those settings, that he wouldn't be part of his local community alongside his brother and his peers. He only had one brother then. With family, so Jack does come from a large family. There's plenty of us. We've all got lots of kids, and we are a big defence family. Lots of uncles and fathers and brothers and who've been a part of the Defence Force, Nana as well. One of the things about it was that society tells us that people with intellectual disability can't do the same things as other people. And I knew that if Jack's family believed this, then Jack would be excluded from ordinary family events and celebrations. And that was true when he was younger. But now at every opportunity, Jack's supported to be an active member of his immediate and his extended family. So he hosts family events, and you saw those photos all of his family with him, and those were events that he hosted. He's the keeper of birthdays, so he knows everybody's birthday, and he sends everybody cards on their birthdays, which is kind of old school. Jack's a bit old school in lots of ways. He goes and finds those cards and he writes them and he sends them, and people send him messages on Facebook, thanks for the card, da, da, da. So he's always remembering those things. His favourite cousin, and you saw him with that little baby. Isla is a lot older now, but all of his younger cousins, and there's lots of them, he's a loving big brother. He always looks out for his brothers. And as we talked about before, that he is part of a veteran family, and he's volunteered with them in a very active way. I guess it's something that I wanted to share, which is very painful, is that Jack was rejected by his grandmother, my mother, pretty much his whole life. Mum was dying, and she came to live with us and lived with us for the last 6 months of her life. And she got to know Jack through that 6 months, obviously living very closely, to the point where she asked Jack to do the eulogy at her funeral. It took a long time, but she figured out in the end, and valued Jack in many ways, and he looked after her very well during her final 6 months. With friends, Jack is a loyal and supportive in all of his relationships. But as I said before, loneliness and isolation have been very common experiences for Jack. And it really takes time and effort to create opportunities from which friendships can grow. And Jack's got paid supports, and they can facilitate these connections. However, we've had service workers, their response to loneliness was, oh, get a pet. Well, Jack doesn't have a pet, but he does now have a number of friends. And so workers have come to understand now that if Jack spends regular time with people who share his interests, then he's more likely to build relationships that become friendships. That's how he grew that relationship with Marty. One of his workers knew Marty, and Marty's in the car drag scene. Jack really loves cars, as you can tell. And so she introduced Jack to Marty and went along to drag racing. And within a very quick few weeks, she would just drop him off, and Marty and his family would include Jack. He would just sit with them, have barbecue, all of that sort of stuff, and got the chance to get in those really fast cars and go driving with them, which was great. And something that's just happened recently, Jack's got a sort of new worker, and he's again, with our guidance, understanding about supporting Jack to build relationships. And so you saw that photo of Jack with Karen, and Karen is a part of the Gem Club, and his support worker facilitated that connection with Karen, and that was her studio. So he went to her studio, and she showed him some of the things that she makes, and she's coming to visit him at his studio. But the other thing that's happening is that, and it's tonight, the first time Jack was all dressed for that his worker is supporting him to facilitate meetups with other artisans. And so they're going out to dinner tonight with other people who have got, who are very creative and have got their own businesses and passions for all sorts of things in the creative space. It's a very positive thing that is happening. Home, Jack is a proud homeowner and neighbour. And I've always understood through my knowledge of SRV that home is a foundation for launching more safely into the wider world. It's a place that reflects our personal style. It's where we make the rules. It's a haven. And Jack expresses his preferences strongly and clearly, to the point that he doesn't have a microwave on his bench. He puts it in the cupboard, and when he wants to use it, he takes it out every time. It's very clear about that. But he's also expresses his preferences around paid supports. And if he doesn't want somebody there, he's very clear to say, I think you need to leave now, which they do. We know that if Jack was living in a group setting, that he would have very little control, if any, over who came into his house and who his paid supports would be. It wouldn't look like his home. It would look like service, and that wouldn't work for Jack at all. Jack's first home was a private rental property, and it took him about a year, I think it was, for him to really feel comfortable in that place. Unfortunately, the owner decided to sell, and it wasn't really the place that Jack would prefer to have purchased as his own. So we went looking, because we didn't want him to have to move again. And so went looking for a place to buy. And the home that you saw was the first place that we went to. And he said, this is it. So it's 2-story. He's got his living area upstairs, and downstairs there is another bedroom, but he's got his studio down there and his office, and it just fits perfectly. I insisted that he go and look at a few other homes, but he was really clear that that's the one that he wanted. And it took him time to settle into that place too. So there was quite a bit of work that needed to be done so that he felt safe and comfortable living in his own home. Jack shared a bit about his passion for gems and minerals, and it became the foundation for creating meaningful work for him. But unlike other high school students, Jack was denied any opportunity to engage in work experience or career planning. Once again, professionals assessed Jack's needs, and they considered him incapable of real and meaningful employment. And the best that he was offered was congregated day options or sheltered workshops. And he dabbled in both of those, and they were ultimately extremely harmful to Jack. Now he's got a micro enterprise, and that's been going, as he said, for 5 years. It took a couple of years prior to that to do lots of thinking. We had people assisting with that process, and now it's going great guns, and he loves it. He's so focused when he's doing his work, and he no longer is bored at home. And in fact, I'm surprised that he didn't say today, I should be at work, but I've come here to talk to you lot. You saw some photos of the good life and Jack doing his thing. And this has been driven by a vision that's been held for Jack and has been informed by his hopes and dreams. And it's been underpinned by my knowledge of SRV. And through that, what I have come to understand and learn over many years now is that family, friends, home, and work, amongst some other things, are all significant markers of the quality of the life that we live. And a good life typically has loving family, close friends, safe home, and fulfilling work. And access to those things that we commonly hold dear, all of us, doesn't come easily for a person who's devalued, and it hasn't come easily for Jack. But if we want a person who's devalued to experience a life like our own, then we must believe that it's possible, and we have to turn our efforts to realising the vision. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Are you up for questions?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There's a question. How did Jack discover his love of gems?
Oh, Jack has loved gems and minerals since he was very, very young, very young. And in fact, when the kind of that process about trying to work out how or what kind of work to create for Jack, it was like, facepalm, because this was something that he has always loved, and it was identified through that exploration of a micro enterprise. But he has loved them, and whenever he goes in, he loves bling. And so whenever he goes away or whatever he's doing, he used to always bring home blingy things for me, a bit of jewellery, or so he has had a love of it. He did show you today, but he had a hands full of rings. He loves rings.
Ah, okay.
So it has been a very long held love and passion for Jack.
Yeah. There's a question about the, did you suspect that day centres and sheltered workshops would be damaging to Jack? And I wondered whether you might answer that in terms of the if this then that way of thinking about SRV ideas.
Yeah, it was really clear, and it took a bit of dipping a toe in the water as a wasn't a young mother, but with he was my first child. And so, professionals say all of those things about what's good for people and where people belong. And so there was a bit of dipping his toe, I guess, into those things, but it became evident very, very quickly that if he was in a day option or one of those congregated, segregated service, they were always away from where he lived. So if he was going there, then he wasn't getting known in his own community. This happens with education, all across all sort of domains of life, that all of those things are about going away from what is, you know, your home and your local place and space. And so if Jack was going and doing that, and it was, and I could see the parallel between Jack and a young woman in our local community who does go to all of those things. And it was really, really clear that through what I could observe through her lived experience was that she had no one. You never ever saw her in the community. She was only ever there with her dad, and there wasn't anybody else. Whereas Jack's experience was he was in his local scout group. He knew people in the community. In fact, people would say, "Oh, you Jack's mum." Nobody ever knew what my name was, but they always knew that I was Jack's mum, and it provided an enormous safeguard for Jack. And I can tell you a story about that if you'd like to hear it. But it's but that is what we understood, that if we did that, like with education, if he went to special school, then he wouldn't have. He's got a fellow that lives with him now, sharing his place. Who, it's a kind of work in progress. But he's somebody that he knows through the local community and through his school. So, and this is not a fellow with a disability, just a sort of family friend, and now they're sharing a place. And when people have come to visit, like when a worker first comes, the first thing out of their mouth is, "Oh, is this a group home?" No. This assumption that people make that, he's got a really nice home and that must mean that it's a service.
Yes. Oh, gee. So, as I was listening to you, Fiona, I was listening for the if, this, then that. So it started with, there's multiple examples in there. It's like if going down this path, then we can forecast the future. There's that sort of if this, then that. And then there was just then it was if someone looks different, then we can also forecast about how someone's going to get treated. Like the assumption about the group home. It's sort of,
the assumptions that are made about who Jack is and what his life is predicated on this idea that people with disability, particularly people with intellectual disability, they all live in group homes, they all go to special school, they all go to shelter workshops, because that's what you do with people with disability. So people's assumptions about where Jack belongs. And so if you have those assumptions, then that is what will happen. So if I believe that people belong somewhere else, I haven't ever figured out where somewhere else is, then that's where Jack belongs. Yeah. Jack doesn't belong there. He belongs where he is in his local community.
Yeah. Fiona, if you don't mind me dwelling on the if this then that for a minute, thank you. Its use can also be looking backwards. So if someone is like X, then it's likely that Y has happened way back here. And I wondered whether you had any experience of that way of going, that's because.
I'm trying to sort of cast really my mind to, because Jack's lived what I would think is a relatively ordinary life, but it's taken a lot of protection, I guess, to keep him in that place. And so I think Jan I think it was Jan before, talked about what would life have looked like if it hadn't been this. And it's hard to say, well, would it have been that? Because, that isn't what he had.
Okay, great. Well, maybe it's in the positive. It's like, if Jack is confident now, then, competent and confident in a whole range of roles, then it's likely because of what has gone before. rather than
without
something else.
question. And I think if you hold expectations and have always held expectations for Jack, then he is more likely to live up to those expectations. So if the expectations that you have of somebody are low, then people will live down to them in the same way as they can live
Very
up.
nice. Yeah. Last question. In what ways has Jack's work opened opportunities for travel?
Oh my gosh. So every year Jack goes to the National Gem Show. Now it's held in a different state every year. There's about 4 states that it's in. So and where he's been so far over the last 5 years is Tasmania, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and so he goes, and what he gets from that is not just going and he's meeting with like-minded people, but he's actually meeting the same people each time he goes. So now he's got a few people who he buys his product from, but who he's built relationship with. And so what they do now is go, well, where are you going next? Okay, well, I'll catch you at blah, blah, blah. So, you know, there are, in the gem kind of world, it's a bit cultish in some ways. They all go away, and because a lot of them are retired people, but they're, you know, families as well. And so they have a bit of a plan about where they travel around the country. And so Jack checks in with them about where they're going to be, so that when he's out and about, he knows that he'll be able to catch up with Joe and his wife when they're at Lightning Ridge, or he'll be able to catch up with I forget his Scott's fella, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and his wife Edith, because they do this circuit every year. And when he comes back, those people, and they're always going, so did you bring any product back? Because what they want to see is what Jack's made from the raw product that he bought from them. So he's doing a lot of that traveling around. He's getting to see lots of different places. And so the most recent one was a 5,000 kilometre trip up through New South Wales to Queensland, and back down through Victoria and home again, stopping at a whole bunch of mines and
fantastic,
things like that. And he loves to travel, so you know, that's great. And he's got a big plan to he wants to go to America to see the mines over there, and he's a bit fascinated with South Africa as well, although he's not real sure about the whole mining stuff over there. But he looks at those things on YouTube and he finds those things. Right. So I come home and he tells me all sorts of information about different mining things around the world, and different kinds of precious and semi-precious stones.
Thank you, Fiona. Well, let's bring the questions to a close. I'll hand over to Amy.
Thank you, Fiona and Jack. We all appreciate hearing you and listening to your wealth of knowledge. It really truly is beneficial to hear, you know, all the experience that you have in the way that you've shaped Jack's life, especially with the SRV framework. It's been really awesome to hear.